Well, here we are, the last talk of the last session. Do you still have room left? Just a little bit, or a little bit more? I know there's been a lot so far, but maybe I'll fill you up at this point. First of all, I would like to say what a pleasure it's been to be here in Kazakhstan. Thank you so much to the organizers for inviting me. I'm honored. I also appreciate that I had the opportunity to learn from the other speakers, as well as meet NIS teachers and administrators, and even a few NIS students. You have a really great thing going on here. I'm impressed. So as noted, I'm a director of the Pre-Collegiate Studies at Stanford University. This is an umbrella organization that oversees a range of programs, online programs on the Stanford campus for high school students, academically talented high school students. Our programs are designed to provide opportunities to students that they wouldn't have otherwise. And today I'm going to focus on enrichment programs, and in particular elements of those programs that inspire students, that get them to engage deeply in their academic pursuits. We want to create that spark that ignites the students' intellectual curiosity. My personal background on this starts with a passion for mathematics that I had as a child. I did not have any fuel for that passion when I was in school. I missed out on these kinds of opportunities. Yet I found my way into studies of mathematics at the university level, eventually to a PhD. I ended up at Stanford through that passion for mathematics in the math department, in a faculty position, had passion for teaching that kept me at Stanford, and then passion for creating programs that inspire students. And that's the subject of my presentation. Okay. So, goals for the education of bright and motivated pre-college students should include not only the accumulation of knowledge, but also the development of skills such as creativity, innovation, problem solving, and critical thinking. Educational enrichment programs that break the mold of the traditional classroom allow students to engage deeply in the educational experience and achieve these goals. So what do I mean by break the mold? Over the 2 days of this conference, we've discussed what to teach, we've discussed how to teach it. We've seen the challenges of designing a curriculum and the challenges of getting it implemented. We've seen approaches to developing skills like the ones mentioned above. However, when the context of teaching this was all within the context of teaching at a school, and when in that context, we have various constraints. We have practical constraints, we have other kinds of constraints and how this can be done. These could be policies, these could be curriculum requirements, it could be constraints coming from higher level goals that are part of our school's mission. But the style of enrichment programs that I would like to speak about are ones that free us of these constraints. This next slide is meant to be a metaphor for the kinds of constraints I was speaking of in the school environment. I know that classrooms don't really look like this, but our goals are, let's back up a little bit and think about what our goals are: teaching creativity, innovation, problem solving, critical thinking, etc. And then there's a question of, how can we really teach that? And my answer is in part that I develop programs that create environments, build environments where students can create, where they can innovate, where students can problem solve, and where they can think critically. And we do this in a way where the students are genuine in their pursuit of these. They're genuinely inspired. Their motivation comes from the heart. And so we want to develop programs that accomplish that goal. Just for context, I want to contrast two approaches to meeting the needs of talented students. Acceleration programs can be ones that allow students to move ahead in a standard curriculum, advance in different ways. They could also be ones that prepare students for tests of different kinds. And enrichment programs are ones that are not for credit or grade, and they're not guided by tests, and they're not competitive, and they're not attached to a particular curriculum. And we're going to see some examples of these kinds of programs that I have in mind. Our enrichment programs are more about what skills we'd like students to obtain than what knowledge we would like them to gain. They provide opportunities for us as educators to experiment with curriculum and with methodologies and without the constraints mentioned earlier. Think about goals for gifted and talented students. I've already talked about these a little bit, but we want to stimulate our students intellectually. We want to challenge them. Bright students want to be challenged. And we want them to learn things, accumulate knowledge. We want them also to engage in the learning process, and to me this is a very important one. It's the way in which we help. I mean, if you think about students who engage in the learning process, they're going to be self-motivated to gain these skills. And we also want to help develop the passion in them to learn more. And so the question is, how do we create that magic spark? A few guiding slogans. Value the part of education that remains after the facts are forgotten. Break free of the mindset that only quantifiable accomplishments have value. Be flexible and open-minded and ready to follow your interests in your intellectual pursuits. So when I speak of enrichment programs, I have in mind a range, and I'm going to look at some specific examples in a moment. I'm thinking of programs that are outside of the school day. They could be programs that take place after school or on weekends. They could be science fairs, writing competitions, and similar programs. They could be online courses that are taken at home, and they could be residential summer programs. The style of program that I'm speaking of, again, takes on many forms, and it has many qualities, and these are some of them. We want programs that are going to challenge our students, and we want programs that are going to be flexible in their curriculum so we can individualize. If we're not worried about assessing our students through exams, if they're not motivated by taking a test or learning a certain set of knowledge, then we can make adjustments as we go and make it so that every student is challenged and every student has a rewarding experience, a sense of accomplishment. I mentioned also university-based programs, and I note that because there's a valuable resource when you have educators who are experts in their fields who can help transfer their enthusiasm for their subjects to the students. And if you have the opportunity to make use of such resources, then it's a benefit to the students. And then very important is communities of learners. And the idea here is that when you get bright and talented students together, something magic happens. Right? If we can achieve a critical mass of enthusiasm for learning, the students will be the driving force to make education effective. So these programs, again, that I'm talking about, they're not defined by curriculum, they're not defined by methodology. They have other kinds of components. So here are my examples. My first one, I just put the acronym on there, and I forgot to put the full name, but this is Stanford University Mathematics Camp. And this is a program, this is where I got my start in working with high school age students when it was founded in 1994. It was offered for the first time in 1995, so over 20 years ago. Each year we get 40 highly talented, mathematically talented students from around the world. These are selected from an initial pool of about 1,000 who start the application and about 450 students who complete it. This is a challenging process for them, and so we're already in that 450 getting very talented students. So this is a very selected program drawing from the best in the world. And some features of the program, it's all about math. Okay, so we bring young mathematicians together, and we have them in an environment with other mathematicians. So they live together in a residence on the Stanford campus. They are supervised by Stanford undergraduates and graduate students who are themselves studying mathematics. They're taught by math faculty. We bring in mathematicians from outside of academia as well. Their study environment includes lectures in mathematics and problem solving. There's a lot of group work. A lot of the time they're working together. We have them working on research projects and various things. Many of these students come from home environments where they feel alone in their mathematical pursuits. They might be smarter in mathematics than their parents, than their teachers. There's nobody at their schools that they can relate to, and all of a sudden they're together and they get to have others who share those interests and those talents. And they describe this experience as transformative. It's something where even though they came in with a love of mathematics, when they leave, they have a greater appreciation than they did before, and they have a better understanding of what mathematics is about. The subjects that we teach them are not seen in their schools. We're teaching them content that is inspirational to people that are themselves mathematicians, and it's what makes the mathematicians love what they do, so we can become enthusiastic about it when we teach them. And so they get this unique exposure. I'll point out that this program, which was started in 1994, served as a model for many other programs and other subject areas that we run on campus. We continue to only have 40 students in this one, but now I have programs, 40 or 50 different subjects or courses taught in this manner. So students who are pursuing writing or humanities, social sciences, business and entrepreneurship, engineering, legal studies, and a range of other subjects can have the same experience. And we use residences all over the Stanford campus to house this, and in each case we're modeling the math camp. And we now have 1,300, well it's actually about 1,500 students on the Stanford campus in this style of program every year. So this is one of our highlights. Okay. I mentioned in addition to programs that take place during the summer, we also have programs on campus during the year. And if you think about resources and what students are capable of doing, not all of them can commit 3 weeks or pay the cost of a 3-week residential program. So we're trying to reach a broader range of students through year-round programs, and a highlight among those is our math circle. The mathematics circles have their origins in Eastern Europe. They came to the US 20-25 years ago, and they've spread around to different communities. These are typically once-a-week programs for students. There are no requirements for attending. It's just an open door, and the students get exposed to mathematical topics that they don't see in school. So they get that same kind of experience I talked about earlier with the mathematics camp, but here they're doing it in a simpler context and one that's much easier to implement. I'm going to talk about a couple of other programs that capture some of our goals, and we often will look for audiences that have either are missing out on certain opportunities or where there's a population that's underrepresented within that. And this past year we started a program in artificial intelligence for girls. This is for girls just past the 9th grade. It's a free program. We were very selective. And this is one that takes advantage of the amazing resources in artificial intelligence at Stanford. And this one has a fun story for me because one of the founders of the program was an alum of my math camp from 2001. And she recently got a PhD in artificial intelligence at Stanford under the direction of the director of the AI lab at Stanford University, who's also a woman and a leader in the field of artificial intelligence. And they're two powerful mentors in a world of a very male-dominated field, and they're doing remarkable work in bringing, inspiring young women to pursue computer science. And the girls were surveyed in the program, and for the majority of them, reported back that they were more inspired to pursue computer science. And here, this is a population where they're more likely, with that talent, to go into something else, a non-technical field. Their talents can send them in many directions, but by giving them this kind of exposure, we can inspire them to do something a little bit different. And a lot of these programs are about opening up their minds and opening up possibilities for them. Another program that we have that's been around for a long time is our medical use science program. This is one that reaches out to a different community of underrepresented minorities in the California area. They are also people that coming from communities of low-income families and also from various kinds of disadvantaged backgrounds. A lot of them have hardship stories where they wouldn't be able to make it to college without some help and some support. And we bring them to Stanford campus, we show them our medical facilities, we teach them anatomy, we teach them other sciences, and we get them on track for a medical science career. And we track them along the way. We provide them support as they enter universities and later on, some of them, in some cases, medical schools. And this has been a very successful program for now. So the next program is the one that actually, the reason I'm here today. And so it's worthwhile telling you a little bit more about this one. The previous programs described the summer programs like the math camp and medical science program are all programs that students participate in through individual applications. They have competitive admissions. But we also have a program that has groups of students coming from top schools and gifted organizations around the world. And they get a unique 2-week experience on the Stanford campus. We are giving them an academic program in a range of subject areas, and it's focusing on skill development, creativity, leadership, innovation, problem solving, decision making, etc. Groups are between 20 and 40 students, and they come from a range of countries. And we had 8 countries, including Kazakhstan last summer. And I think I overhear some mumbling there, because maybe some of the teachers recognize on the far right some of the students that attended our program. They were a delight to have on our campus, all of the students together, but I would say the Kazakhstan group was very special to us. But what this program does is gives them a style of instruction that they will not see in their schools. We are focused on engaging them in the classroom. We want to interact with them as much as we can. We're asking them questions, and we're having them ask us questions. And we're not asking them yes or no, or what's the answer to the problem questions. We're asking them, what do you think about this? And what are your ideas on this? And then furthermore, we are getting them to reflect on themselves. And so the idea is we want to create an environment where they're going to learn from each other, and they're going to learn from themselves. And they're not worried about they need to learn certain things in order to take the test at the end of the course. We free them of that completely. So it's completely open, and it's an experience where they can really open up. And to top it all off, they get to meet kids from other students from around the world who are also academically talented and also interested in similar things, but can share their experiences. Sometimes we provide the setting for them to exchange things from their cultures, their music, their art, their dances, etc. And so this is a newly developed program, and I had the pleasure of including NIS in that experience. We often are asked if these programs are intended to be a recruitment tool for Stanford University, and I'll say right off that they are not designed for that purpose. Nonetheless, we feel that these programs do a lot to prepare students in a variety of ways for attending universities, whether it's in the US or otherwise. And in particular, in the case of the US, we are giving them the opportunity to express their passions and their intellectual curiosity. And these are the kinds of things that college admissions in top schools in the US pay attention to. The admissions process in the US is a very complex one. It doesn't have any rules, there's no formula. It's just kind of an organic thing that's happened in different universities in a variety of ways. And it's not something that you can figure out. But one thing I will say is that students who are passionate about what they do and have that internal drive to learn more are the ones who are going to have the greatest chance for success. Okay, and so summing up, and I'm near the end here, I want to emphasize that our programs are experiments in getting students excited about learning and engaged in the learning process. We try many different approaches with the idea that each child is different in how they learn and what's going to be a match for them. A lot of the experience is matching students to subjects that are a fit for them and to a style of instruction that fits them. And with that in mind, we're going to continue to try new things and find new ways to inspire young minds. And I'll end with that.